Welcome to the second of the Inspiration series of videos where we look at how T&T Planning is helping people with a wide range of financial challenges to better understand their money and their financial future. In this video we look at the example of Stuart and Amita, who've recently married and are keen to start making plans for their future. They've already entered their starting information. Stuart is 35, Amita is 33. They're both earning £35,000 and they have a mixture of assets totaling $54,250 and a couple of student loans which they are still endeavouring to repay. Their financial challenge is that the assumptions made for them by the plan are just an extension of their current circumstances and don't include any of the dreams and targets they have as a newlywed couple. They'd like to create a plan where they can afford to get on the property ladder, have at least 2 children and bring them up in a family-sized home. They know that these expenses are not assumed in their current plan, so they decide to start with a detailed look at their lifestyle spending. They've already entered their current spending details, as we can see here, totaling £48,060. When they go to their planned life spending to work in detail, they choose option 2, and that reveals the detailed table that they have already completed. They can see the 12 summary totals of their current spending in this column, which acts as a very good base from which to plan for the different life phases. They can separate the specific costs of raising children, which allows them to bring these costs in and out of their plan, as we see here. We can see they're planning for an average cost of £6,000 per year for each of 2 children, and they fitted this into the plan across the 18 years of life phases A1, A2 and A3. As getting on the property ladder is an important part of their planning, they've also discussed their property plan. They review the property plan assumptions as well as the plan input section that they've just completed. We can see here that they're currently living in a rented flat that costs £900 per month, and they plan to live there for another 2 years while they prepare to buy. They'd like to live in their first starter home for about 5 years, while hopefully they have their children before moving to a larger family home. They then think they might treat themselves to another move in their later years before maybe downsizing for their last move. T&T removes the complication of inflation so they can set their targets for what they want to buy using the values that they see around them today. They know that a first house in the area where they want to live currently costs around $325,000, while a suitable family home would cost around $375,000. They might also want to make a further move to buy at, say, $425,000 before thinking of downsizing. Stuart's mother has kindly offered to help them buy their first house with a gift of £10,000. Although they're working in just today's money, T&T will do the calculations for them using the assumption for the real annual change in property prices to keep their plans realistic. They can see in the red here that their property plan is not currently affordable. The plan is telling them that they won't have enough savings to afford their later moves and that their available money is negative in at least 1 year of their larger T&T plan. But they're determined to keep their 2 main objectives for their plan, the children and the family home. So they are reluctant to change either of those choices unless they absolutely have to. So they decide to review their other choices to see how they might balance their plan, starting with their earnings in Phase A. They both have good jobs and don't see why they couldn't progress their careers to be earning, say, £55,000 in today's money. So they change both of their earnings targets. For Stuart and for Amita. They also believe that each of them will inherit some money in the near future, so they make a very prudent forecast of receiving between them £100,000 no later than plan year 5. They do this by going to other income, in plan 5, and putting 100,000. When they now go to graph 4, They see that the main deficit in the plan is during the first few years of the plan, and there is no other option than reducing their lifestyle spending as far as possible in the first phase A1. So rather reluctantly, they revisit their lifestyle spending and trim some non-essentials from their budget. Which they do just here by reducing their personal transport here to 7,500, their food and drink to 6,000, personal appearance to 1,500, leisure and interests to 1,000, travel very reluctantly to 3,000, and entertainment to 1,500. Amita is now keen to look at their property plan results. So in the results section, they can see in table 1 how they're planning to climb the ladder with targets for how much they're planning to sell and buy for, with all the amounts shown as real values. They see the equity that they will have in their last property at the end of the plan, which is kept separate from their other assets as an insurance against either later life costs or maybe as an inheritance for their children. Table 2 shows how they are planning to finance each purchase using mortgage, savings and any equity in their previous property. In Table 3, they can see the items of other income and expense that are being taken across into their T&T plan, being the capital they need for the first 3 moves and the equity they will release with their final downsize. And in Table 4, finally, they can see all of the amounts that are being automatically picked up by their T&T plan, which are then fed into their planned lifestyle spending. Finally, if they look at their graphs, they can see that in their plan, their inheritance of 100,000 is shown here as part of their total income, as is the property sale with the downsize and the release of some equity. And they can see their earnings here in Phase A, Phase B, and the financing of the income in Phase C by investment returns, state pension, and the balance in withdrawals from tomorrow's investments. On the flip side, how will they use that income? Again, we can see the inheritance being invested as well as the property sale proceeds. We can see the sacrifices they're making in their initial lifestyle spending in the dark blue here. For their assets, we can see the remainder of the student loan being paid off over the first 10 years or so. And we can see a healthy balance being left in the plan of about £335,000 at the end of the plan. And finally, with available money, they've now been able to keep this positive in the early years, and the plan is now viable. So Stuart and Amita have seen the big picture of their finances and have a better knowledge of how their money flows and fits together. They both have a realistic long-term target for their earnings, a property plan, and they have seen the sort of short-term sacrifices they might have to make with their lifestyle spending in order to achieve their 2 big dreams. Ironically, the most important benefit of their T&T plan is not even in the numbers. It is how the plan has been a focal point for the discussions they've had about how they see their future and what they want to achieve together. Thank you for watching. Hopefully it's been useful and has inspired you to think about your financial challenges and to create your very own T&T plan.